Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we break down the biggest stories in politics and global affairs. Today we're diving into a wild and controversial moment that's got everyone talking. Donald Trump's heated rhetoric towards Canada, including threats of tariffs and a bizarre pitch about making Canada the next US state. Yeah, you heard that right. Let's break it all down. In November, Trump fired his first shot at Canada, announcing that if he gets back into the White House on January 20th, he plans to slap a 25% tariff on all Canadian and Mexican imports, unless both countries agree to tighten security along their borders with the US. But it didn't stop there. After outgoing Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau met with Trump in Florida to discuss the looming tariffs, things took a bizarre turn. Trump began trolling Trudeau on social media, referring to him as the governor of the great state of Canada, and pitching the idea of Canada becoming America's 51st state. Yeah, it sounds like something out of a satirical comedy, but this actually happened. Let's unpack what this means, the reactions it sparked, and the historical context behind these kinds of statements. His language, described as more intense than ever before, appears to capitalize on perceived political instability in Canada, where a leadership transition and upcoming elections might signal vulnerability. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced his resignation this week, saying he intends to step down from the top job and as the leader of Canada's ruling Liberal Party once a new party leader is chosen. Trudeau, leader of the Liberal Party for 11 years and Prime Minister for 9, was facing a mounting set of crises, from Donald Trump's tariff threats to the resignation of key allies and disastrous opinion polls. His resignation could be seen as choosing to jump before he is pushed, ahead of a general election to be held later this year that he is widely expected to lose. Trump, sensing this moment, seems to be pressing for an advantage. However, some commentators believe he may have miscalculated, as his divisive rhetoric could inadvertently unify Canadians during a critical time. The US president-elect made his comments in a meandering press conference in which he also refused to rule out using military force to retake the Panama Canal, an artificial 82-kilometer waterway in Panama that connects the Caribbean Sea with the Pacific Ocean, and promised to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. Canadian officials, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, have responded firmly. Trudeau's recent tweet dismissed Trump's comments, declaring unequivocally that Canada would never become part of the United States. This resolute response reflects a broader sentiment of defiance and national pride. While some believe Trump's rhetoric is aimed at securing deals, others see value in Canada strengthening its own commitments, such as accelerating defense spending to meet NATO requirements, thereby removing contentious points from future discussions. The United States is crucial to Canada as an economic partner, military ally, and geopolitical neighbor for several reasons. Trade. The U.S. is Canada's largest trading partner, accounting for approximately 75% of Canadian exports and about 50% of its imports. Key sectors include energy, automotive, and agriculture. Nearly $2.6 billion in goods and services crossing the shared border, the world's longest land border, every day. This trade supports millions of jobs on both sides of the border. Investment. The U.S. is a significant source of foreign direct investment in Canada, and vice versa. The U.S. consistently accounts for around 50 to 60% of Canada's total FDI stock, reflecting deep economic ties. Canada is seeking to reduce reliance on the U.S. by attracting FDI from Europe and Asia, particularly in emerging sectors like green energy and tech. The concept of a country annexing another is historically significant, though rare in modern times due to international laws and norms against aggression. While the idea of former U.S. President Donald Trump trying to annex Canada is largely speculative or hypothetical, history offers examples of countries absorbing or attempting to absorb other nations. Annexing another country is technically possible, but highly controversial and rare in modern geopolitics due to international laws and norms. Annexation involves one state asserting sovereignty over another territory, often against the will of its population or government. While it was relatively common in history, the practice is now widely condemned under international law, particularly the United Nations Charter, which prohibits the acquisition of territory by force. Next, we will see some historical examples of annexation. We start with the annexation of Texas in 1845. The Republic of Texas, initially part of Mexico, declared independence in 1836. In 1845, the U.S. annexed Texas, leading to the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848. This annexation was driven by U.S. expansionist policies and territorial ambitions. Anschluss of Austria by Nazi Germany, 1938. Germany annexed Austria. In 1938, an event known as the Anschluss. This was framed as a unification of German-speaking people, but was, in reality, an aggressive act that violated Austrian sovereignty. Annexation of Crimea by Russia, 2014. Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine, citing historical claims in a disputed referendum. This act was widely condemned by the international community and led to ongoing geopolitical tensions. Unification of Italy, 19th century. During the Italian unification, Risorgimento, various independent states and territories, including the Papal States in the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, were annexed to form modern Italy. Annexation of Korea by Japan, 1910. Japan formally annexed Korea in 1910 after years of influence and control, turning it into a Japanese colony until the end of World War II in 1945. Why annexation is rare today? International law, the UN Charter prohibits acquiring territory by force, making annexation a violation of international norms. Global opposition, modern annexations often lead to sanctions, isolation, and condemnation by the international community. Complex interdependence. Globalization has made outright annexation economically and politically unviable in most cases.